It's a very early first look at the HTC Windows Phone 8X. I've been working with this device for a few days. As of Friday, HTC sent this over and the embargo is lifted. We can talk about it now. And honestly, I haven't had enough time with this device to really give you a full review, and I'm not comfortable publishing a full review, but what I'd love to give you is an early review of this device, and more importantly, of Windows Phone 8, a new reinvigorated operating system from Microsoft, hoping to compete this holiday season with iOS and with Android. So you can see, functionally speaking, it's very similar in a lot of aspects here. And obviously, let's take a look at the device here. Absolutely beautiful device. Out of all the new Windows Phone designs that we've seen, this is probably one of my favorites. Love the way it feels, love the way it fits in the hand. You can see the micro USB charging port at the bottom, a new Windows Phone button along with back and search, a 3.5mm headphone jack, 8 megapixel camera on the back, and then, of course, HTC logo. So a beautifully designed piece of hardware. This is not optimized for AT&T or any of the other carriers for that matter. This is an international device, so you're only getting HSPA Plus at max. And you can see my my preview here. And this is something cool we'll talk about in just a second. I have a preview for one of my emails coming in. And, of course, all the little things down here at the bottom letting me know that I have emails in my various accounts and emails, of course, text messages, missed calls, voicemails, things like that, all down at the bottom. So like I said, functionally speaking, it looks very similar across the board. Some of the customization features I love in Windows Phone 8, though, things I've talked about for months in Windows Phone 7 videos, they're finally making available over here. For example, press and hold here on American's application, for example, and you can change around the overall size of it from large to small. And then when you get into some of the more core ones, for example, calendar, I can come out here, I can make it small, or I can make it large in traditional format. Now, what I like about this, it answers two questions. One, it really gives you a good sense of customization with this device. You can make it your own. As you see, I have, two smaller ones here. I have two big ones up and or higher and lower, rather, above and below it. I've got some small ones here. I decided to go back to the mid-range ones down here, and then I go back to the small ones over here, so you can see a lot of customization depending on what you want out of your device. But also, if you're like me and you really like the previews here, as you can see, for example, OSR weekly recap video, with text messaging. I was always frustrated because I was like, you know what, you got a pretty decent sized widget, if you will. There's some options there for customization. Why didn't they do that? Well, they've answered that question. So now I have messaging. It's a pretty big widget here, a pretty big box here, and whenever I get a message that comes in, it'll tell me that I have one text message, and it'll preview the most recent text message right there. So I absolutely like that. Little features like that. And of course, you can see I have 3 emails in this particular Outlook address. If I expand that out, it'll tell me which address that is, and I can possibly get some previews there as well. And of course, local scout notes. So obviously, and of course, another Outlook account and alarms and more. So let's take a look at those customizations just to show you some brief differences here between the older version Windows Phone 7 and the newer version Windows Phone 8. So theme, for example, totally changed here. You've got a bunch of different accent colors you can choose from, not just the typical 7 or 8 or whatever it was on Windows Phone 7. I can go in here to orange, for example, and change that around if I see fit. And this is actually an HTC widget that comes with the with the 8X rather. It is the HTC clock. And when I click on that, you're going to see some familiar terms here, some familiar fonts. Look and feel is going to be very similar to what we've seen on Android devices in the past, and of course HTC Hub on Windows Phone 7. So I can scroll down through here again. Photos, for example, and I just love the ability to customize and change it around and really make it my own. And that's something that finally, it's nice to see Windows Phone embracing a better level of customization. There's some other awesome applications, and we'll talk about this stuff in the full review, but these are the things that just kind of jumped out at me in my initial testing. I was in the process of doing a lot of driving this weekend, didn't get as much time as I'd like to do a full hands-on, so like I said, not really comfortable doing a full review just yet, but these are the things I've noticed. So of course, background here you saw Photo, Bing, and HTC. So HTC is my background right now on my lock screen, so when I turn it off and back on, as you saw at the very beginning of the video, you kind of see that HTC look and feel along with my previews. Now my previews here are down here, so I can choose an app to show detailed status. So my Aaron Baker, my personal email is what you're seeing with that Dallas News email at the bottom along with the preview, and then I can show quick statuses with calls, messages, and of course all my different Outlook accounts down here, and that's what you're seeing down here at the bottom. So you can really customize this and make it your own. For example, this is coming from my personal email address. Let's say I want the preview to be from my calendar, or my preview to be from my text messages, or my preview to be from my Phone Dog email account. I can do that, and of course customize what you see down here at the bottom of the display as well. My different email accounts, like I said, messaging, missed calls, and more. So they're really, kind of harping on this customization thing, and quite frankly, it's something that they really need as they go into this holiday season. They compete with iOS, with Android, well established for all aspects, well established operating systems that have a decent amount of customization depending on your personal preferences. And I think that's something they need to compete. Also, you'll notice Store, a rebrand from what it was before. It's now Microsoft Store, and it's easily accessible down there. And I can come in here, and you can see pretty familiar layout, but nice to see it rebranded. And of course, some enhanced search stuff in Bing as well. So I can go in here to Bing and take a look, and we can go in and let's say app. We'll search app, and I can come in here and find local. I can find media. I can find web and more. So I can come in here to local, and like I said, Local Scout, a great application we used in Windows Phone 7, tells you what's nearby to you in terms of eat and drink, stay, fun things to do, and more. So I've got some different places to eat and drink, see and do, shop, and more from my Local Scout. So some great features in Windows Phone 8. Love the customization features. Can't wait to get some more hands-on with those. In the meantime, keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage of Windows Phone 8, the HTC 8X, or I should say the HTC Windows Phone 8X, and more. We're going live to Microsoft event today. Stay tuned for that, and let me know what you want to see out of Windows Phone 8 on Twitter at PhoneDog_Aaron and on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. Thanks for watching. Much more coverage to come with this bad boy on PhoneDog.com, so stay tuned.